Big Story Breakdown.
In tonight's Big Story Breakdown, we're taking a look at the issues and candidates being voted on during tomorrow's elections. Polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. A political party taking an unusual step over the weekend is making waves in Oklahoma politics.
As Fox 25's Emma McAndrews explains, the Oklahoma Republican Party made endorsements in major primary runoff races, including governor, state superintendent, and labor commissioner.
Oklahoma primary runoffs are set to take place Tuesday as races have heated up and candidates have set their eyes on November. Big races on the Republican nominees side include governor, state superintendent, labor commissioner, and insurance commissioner. And an unusual step came just this past weekend as the Oklahoma Republican Party endorsed 3 of those races.
The old status quo of being silent and then having a bunch of rhinos in our legislature is not going to cut it anymore. We want our platform to mean something. We want our values to be stood up for, and so we chose to do that.
Chairwoman of the Oklahoma GOP, Charity Lynch, says an overwhelming majority of the state committee voted in favor of endorsing Mike Mazie as their preferred candidate for governor over current Attorney General Getner Drummond, along with naming James Taylor for state superintendent over Robert Franklin and Kevin West for labor commissioner over John Pfeffer. She says the state committee decided to do this because
we have Democrats openly saying that to run as Republican, Democrats openly saying that they will switch to Republican to vote in our primaries and then switch back in their general to vote for their Democrat candidate. And so we have Democrats weighing or tipping the scales and weighing in on our elections. And in a state where the Republican Party doesn't get to decide which Republicans get to be on the ballot, we at least need to voice who we believe represents our values.
However, pushback came from several past Oklahoma leaders, including former state auditor Gary Jones, pointing to the group's new certification requirements, saying it does not reflect the common Oklahoman Republican.
A handful of people that represent a very small group on a Saturday that showed up because they manipulated the rules and changed them and basically come back with a litmus test that said that, you know, hey, if you're an average Oklahoma Republican, you don't qualify. And now they're saying that they represent all of Oklahoma Republicans. It's not true.
Jones says whoever is elected come November should represent all Oklahomans.
For them now to start excluding people to where they get down to the point where they can push their radical views and for her to say that this is the will of the majority of Republicans in Oklahoma, excuse the expression, that's bull.
More than 175 current and former school superintendents have endorsed Robert Franklin for state superintendent. They released a joint letter saying they believe in Franklin's ability to lead in public education. Following that endorsement, Franklin released a statement saying he's glad to have their support and he's ready to get to work standing with educators and getting Oklahoma back on track.
The Oklahoma Democratic Party is calling on State Representative Danny Williams to end his re-election campaign. Right now, Williams is under investigation after he was accused of inappropriate behavior toward female staffers. That was back in July. An outside investigation was started and the state representative has been removed from his physical office and from committees. The state Democratic Party says they believe Republicans are planning to remove Williams from office once he is reelected.
We believe is that Republicans are trying to handpick a replacement. That is really not democracy in action. That is not allowing you, the constituents of this district, to choose who represents you. We have a free and fair election coming up in November. If Republicans felt that Danny Williams should not be serving, they have had plenty of time to allow a different Republican to step up to run for office here, and they chose not to.
The deadline for State Representative Williams to end his campaign and remove his name from the November ballot is Friday. Fox 25 reached out to Oklahoma Republican leaders for comment, but we have not heard back. And polls can give us a snapshot of where a race stands, but how well do they predict what will actually happen on election night?
Fox 25's Rick Moranin sat down with the pollster, breaking down how those surveys are done and why only a small fraction of voters are needed.
Let's talk about how reliable are polls when it comes to the actual outcome tomorrow night.
Yeah, so I think there are a couple of things important to remember. And first, let me address that criticism, because it's one that, as a pollster, I hear a lot. Is, well, you never called me, you never called anybody I know. And a couple of things I say to that is, one, we may have, and you hung up on our pollster, or you looked at that text message and you're like, I don't want to deal with that. So you may have been contacted and just not known it. The other thing is that sampling, that's our fancy way of saying how we select the people to take the poll. Sampling is typically a random process. And so if you've got a voter file of 100,000 names, for example, just to use a nice even number, and you're only sampling 500 or 1,000 of them, of course not everybody's going to get called. Now, a lot of them will get called because the response rates are very, very low. But we make every effort to select those respondents at random. The sampling statistics are very similar, that with a very small sample of the electorate, we can understand within a margin of error what the general public is thinking. The other thing I'll say with regards to election outcomes, polls aren't always meant to be predictive. They are a snapshot in time. It's what's happening on these particular 3 days that we were in the field. And sometimes we get it right within that margin of error. The margin of error is determined by the sample size primarily. But within that margin of error, we often get it right. But sometimes we get it wrong, and that's what's important for the viewers to remember, is that polling is not an exact science. It's a very solid science with some margin of error.
At least one poll shows the Republican gubernatorial race is neck and neck. That poll by Pat McFerrin shows Gentner Drummond and Mike Mazie are both drawing 44% of likely runoff voters. Mazie, who's endorsed by President Trump, polls well, with Trump Republicans getting 62% of their vote to Drummond's 22%. Drummond, however, outperforms Mazie among traditional Republicans, getting 60% of the vote to Mazie's 30%. Drummond also takes in more conservative women voters, while Mazie polls well with men. The final campaign finance report before the runoff is in for those gubernatorial candidates. In total, Mazie has lent his campaign $11 million, while individuals have donated $1.4 million to his campaign. PACs have donated $25,000. Drummond has lent his campaign around $3 million. His campaign brought in $2.2 million from individual contributions. PACs donated $152,000 to the current AG.
All voters, regardless of party affiliation, will have 2 state questions on their ballot tomorrow. State question 844 would give the Oklahoma legislature the authority to set a new method for determining how much to reimburse local school districts and other local entities for a manufacturing tax exemption. In 1985, Oklahoma voters passed a 5-year tax exemption for qualifying manufacturers, with the state reimbursing the money to local schools and local governments.
What this would let us do is go to those counties during the process and say, we can't afford to do all that, but what we can do is make sure that we provide enough money. If you have increased costs for sheriff's department or increased costs for roads, we can determine on a case-by-case basis what that percentage would be. Over my 10 years in the legislature, I think we have spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars on ad valorem reimbursement.
The Oklahoma State School Boards Association says the question asks Oklahomans to give up a constitutional guarantee and asks them to trust that future legislatures will continue to honor it. State question 846 would amend the Oklahoma Constitution to require proof of identity for any county or state election. Oklahoma voters passed the state's current voter ID laws more than a decade ago. They require voters to show a government photo ID or a voter ID card or fill out a provisional ballot.
We require proof of identity under current statute. This simply moves that and puts it into the Constitution so that for a future legislature, if they decided to change that, they would have a more difficult time to do so.
The Oklahoma Policy Institute criticized the question's vagueness, saying voters should know what's being changed before giving blanket authority to state leaders.
A proposed 3/4 cent dedicated sales tax is going before Choctaw voters tomorrow. The city says the sales tax would fund the city's first YMCA Recreation and Wellness Center, estimated at $27 million. $4.4 million would go toward fire department building improvements and equipment. A new police department would also be built after a tornado destroyed the previous one in 2002, forcing the department into a former hardware store.
I have septic issues that are expensive every month that it has to be taken care of every month. If we have heavy rains, then I have to call in, for it to be drained again. So just things like that. The groundwater is buckling the parking lot and the sidewalk in the back. Also, I just don't have room. We are growing with our officers.
The city says the proposal is a dedicated investment in recreation and public safety for the city's future. And that was tonight's Big Story Breakdown. Be sure to join us tomorrow on election night. Fox 25 has got your back with live team coverage of the results beginning at 7 on our YouTube channel.
We'll also be updating the race results on our website, okcfox.com. Plus, you can watch all of our previous Big Story breakdowns on our YouTube channel. Just scan the QR code on your screen or search OKC Fox.